On January 6, 2025, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced his resignation as the leader of the Liberal Party and as Prime Minister, marking the end of nearly a decade in power. This decision came amidst rising discontent with his leadership, internal party strife, and a series of recent government resignations that highlighted the challenges facing his administration. Trudeau's resignation was influenced by multiple factors. His government faced significant criticism for its handling of critical issues such as skyrocketing food and housing costs and immigration policies. Public approval ratings had been declining steadily, reflecting widespread dissatisfaction with his effectiveness in addressing these pressing concerns. Additionally, the abrupt departures of key cabinet ministers, including Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland and the Housing Minister, exacerbated the perception of instability within the government and diminished Trudeau's standing both within his party and among the electorate. When Trudeau first assumed office in 2015, he was hailed for ushering in a new era of Liberal governance in Canada following a decade of Conservative rule. His initial popularity was buoyed by progressive policies on immigration, gender equality, and environmental issues. However, over the years his administration faced growing scrutiny over its approach to balancing economic growth with environmental sustainability, as well as controversies surrounding vaccine mandates during the COVID-19 pandemic. These challenges, combined with rising inflation and housing unaffordability, contributed to a decline in public support. In his resignation announcement, Trudeau reflected on the significance of the Liberal Party in Canada's history and expressed hope for a new leader who could reconnect with voters. He acknowledged that internal battles within the party had made it clear that he could not serve as the best option for leadership in the upcoming elections. Trudeau indicated that he would remain in office until a new Liberal leader was elected, with the party's leadership race expected to unfold in the coming months. The ramifications of Trudeau's resignation extend beyond his personal political career. The opposition parties, sensing an opportunity, indicated plans to initiate a no-confidence vote against the Liberal government when Parliament reconvened. This move could trigger a spring election, further complicating the political landscape in Canada. As Trudeau's departure marks a significant shift, it underlines a broader trend in contemporary politics where leaders facing mounting public dissatisfaction are compelled to step down. The political turmoil also coincided with an international backdrop of challenges. The incoming U.S. President Donald Trump had threatened substantial tariffs on Canadian goods unless the Canadian government took action to address what he described as a flow of migrants and drugs across the border. This external pressure added to the domestic challenges Trudeau faced, complicating his administration's efforts to stabilize the economy and reassure the public. Trudeau's resignation has left many wondering about the future direction of the Liberal Party and Canada's political landscape. The party now faces the dual challenge of selecting a new leader capable of addressing the economic and social issues that have contributed to its declining popularity. As Trudeau steps aside, the question remains whether the new leadership can restore confidence among Canadians and navigate the complexities of both domestic and international politics. Overall, Trudeau's tenure, characterized by both significant achievements and considerable controversies, has come to a close. His resignation highlights the precarious nature of political leadership in an era marked by rapid change and public scrutiny. The implications of his departure will likely reverberate throughout Canadian politics as the Liberal Party seeks to redefine itself in the wake of this pivotal moment. Justin Trudeau's resignation as the leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada on January 6, 2025 marks a significant turning point in Canadian politics, particularly given the context of his nearly decade-long tenure. The reasons behind his resignation and the potential implications for the future are complex and layered, revealing counterintuitive dynamics at play in modern governance. Reasons for resignation. 1. Declining popularity. Trudeau's support had been waning for several years, driven by dissatisfaction over rising costs of living, particularly in housing and food. Despite being elected on a platform that promised to champion progressive values, his government faced increasing criticism as these issues intensified. The irony here lies in the fact that Trudeau, who was initially seen as a unifying force in Canadian politics, became a polarizing figure as the very issues he sought to address spiraled out of control. 2. Internal party turmoil. The resignations of key cabinet members, including Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, compounded the perception of instability within his government. Freeland's departure was particularly striking, as she had been a prominent figure in Trudeau's administration. Her resignation was not only a personal blow to Trudeau but also a public acknowledgement of the fractures in his leadership. This reflects a counterintuitive reality: leaders can become so entrenched in their positions that they fail to recognize when their own party's support is eroding. 3. Inability to adapt to political pressures. Trudeau's governance style, which seemed effective in the earlier part of his tenure, became increasingly out of touch with the electorate's concerns over time. His attempts to address crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic and economic challenges were met with mixed results. The public's growing impatience with his administration's perceived lack of decisive action underscores a counterintuitive truth in politics: what worked in the past may not suffice in a rapidly changing political landscape. 4. Trump's threats. The looming threats from U.S. President-elect Donald Trump regarding tariffs and trade policies highlighted the precarious position Trudeau was in. Despite Trudeau's efforts to build a strong international reputation and maintain a cooperative relationship with the U.S., Trump's aggressive posturing served to undermine his position domestically. The irony here is stark: a leader known for his diplomatic finesse was left vulnerable by a foreign adversary, showcasing how interconnected global politics can dramatically affect local governance. 5. Public discontent and political realism. Trudeau's admission that he could not be the best option for the upcoming election reflects a rare moment of political realism. Many leaders cling to power despite declining support, but Trudeau's decision to step aside illustrates a counterintuitive understanding that sometimes acknowledging defeat can be a strategic move. By doing so, he opens the door for a potential rejuvenation of the Liberal Party under new leadership, which may be necessary to regain public trust. Impacts on the future. 1. Potential for a new leadership dynamic. The resignation paves the way for a new leader to emerge, one who might be better positioned to address the pressing issues facing Canadians. This could lead to a revitalization of the Liberal Party's platform, attracting disillusioned voters back into the fold. The counterintuitive aspect here is the idea that a leader's departure can sometimes serve as a catalyst for renewal rather than a signal of decline. 2. Increased polarization. As opposition parties prepare to capitalize on the Liberal Party's internal struggles, the political landscape may become even more polarized. Leaders from the Conservative and NDP parties have already indicated they intend to hold the Liberals accountable for past failings. This dynamic illustrates the counterintuitive nature of political opposition, where the departure of a leader may not necessarily unify the opposition but instead heighten divisions among them as they fight for dominance in a shifting political arena. 3. Impact on policy directions. With a new leader, there is potential for a shift in policy focus. The new leadership may choose to prioritize different issues, perhaps moving away from Trudeau's mixed environmental and economic policies toward a more singular focus on either growth or sustainability. The irony lies in the fact that Trudeau's progressive policies, which once garnered widespread approval, may be jettisoned in favor of more populist or pragmatic approaches that resonate more effectively with a frustrated electorate. 4. Global perception and relations. Trudeau's resignation may alter Canada's standing on the international stage. The new leader may take a different approach to foreign policy, particularly in relation to the U.S. and its trade policies. This scenario underscores a counterintuitive aspect of political leadership. A shift in domestic leadership can lead to significant changes in international relations, potentially affecting trade agreements, diplomatic relations, and Canada's global standing. 5. Future electoral strategies. The Liberal Party must now recalibrate its electoral strategy in light of recent failures.
This may involve redefining its message to resonate more effectively with the electorate's concerns.
The counterintuitive takeaway here is that electoral defeat can lead to a more robust and reflective political strategy as parties are forced to confront the realities of their governance and adapt to the needs of their constituents.
Conclusion: Trudeau's resignation encapsulates the complex interplay of factors that can precipitate political change in a democratic society.
The counterintuitive elements at play, ranging from the impact of global politics on local governance to the potential for renewal following a leader's departure, highlight the unpredictable nature of political dynamics. As Canada prepares for the next chapter in its political landscape, the implications of Trudeau's resignation will likely resonate for years to come, shaping both the Liberal Party's future and the broader political discourse in the country. Justin Trudeau's resignation as Prime Minister of Canada on January 6, 2025 marks a significant turning point in Canadian politics and reflects broader trends in global governance. While many aspects of his resignation are highlighted in reports, several important content points are often overlooked, yet they hold considerable significance for understanding the future trajectory of Canada and its political environment.
1. Internal party dynamics and leadership contest. One of the most critical yet understated aspects of Trudeau's resignation is the internal struggle within the Liberal Party. The abrupt departures of key cabinet members, including Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, signal not just dissatisfaction with Trudeau's leadership but also a deeper rift within the party. Many observers may focus on external factors like public dissatisfaction or policy failures, but the internal dynamics are equally significant.
Freeland's resignation, which came with pointed criticism of Trudeau's economic policies, is indicative of a potentially fragmented party struggling to find a unified voice. As the Liberal Party embarks on a leadership race, the outcome will shape its ideological direction and electoral strategy. The significance lies in the potential for a new leader to either rejuvenate the party or further alienate its base.
2. The influence of external factors.
Trudeau's leadership was heavily influenced by external pressures, particularly from the United States, where President-elect Donald Trump's administration threatened substantial tariffs on Canadian goods. This not only affected Trudeau's economic policies but also shaped the public's perception of his government's effectiveness. Most reports emphasize the immediate consequences of these political pressures, yet the long-term implications are often overlooked.
Trudeau's approach to handling U.S. relations,
especially under a contentious administration, serves as a case study for future Canadian leaders. The need for diplomatic finesse in the face of aggressive foreign policy will remain a critical skill for his successor, with potential ramifications for trade, immigration, and environmental agreements.
3. The legacy of Trudeau's policies. Trudeau's tenure was marked by progressive policies aimed at promoting immigration, gender equality, and environmental sustainability.
However, the backlash against these initiatives, particularly vaccine mandates during the COVID-19 pandemic, highlights a significant divide in public opinion. While many celebrate his progressive legacy, the growing discontent among voters, especially in rural areas, suggests that future leaders must navigate a complex political landscape where progressive ideals may not resonate universally. The significance of this divide cannot be overstated. It sets the stage for the Liberal Party's future electoral strategies and raises questions about the sustainability of progressive policies in the face of populism and rising conservatism. 4. The role of public sentiment and media influence. The role of public sentiment shaped by media narratives is another overlooked aspect of Trudeau's resignation. Reports indicate that his approval ratings plummeted due to rising costs of living, particularly in housing and food. However, the impact of social media and traditional media in amplifying public frustration is often underestimated. Media portrayal can significantly influence political fortunes, both positively and negatively. As Trudeau's administration faced scrutiny, the narratives surrounding his leadership became increasingly critical, contributing to the perception of an ineffective government. Understanding this media dynamic is crucial for any future leader, as it will play a vital role in shaping public opinion and electoral outcomes in Canada. 5. Potential for political realignment. Trudeau's resignation opens the door for a potential political realignment in Canada. With the opposition parties signaling intentions to capitalize on the Liberal Party's vulnerability, the landscape may shift dramatically in the upcoming elections. The significance of this potential realignment lies in its implications for Canadian democracy. A shift in power could lead to the emergence of new political alliances and the redefinition of party platforms in response to the electorate's evolving needs. It highlights the fluid nature of political loyalty and the possibility for new voices to emerge, reflecting a broader trend in democracies worldwide where traditional party structures are increasingly challenged. Conclusion. In summary, while Justin Trudeau's resignation as Prime Minister of Canada is a pivotal moment that highlights issues of leadership and public discontent, the nuances behind this event reveal deeper implications for the future of Canadian politics. Internal party dynamics, the influence of external pressures, the legacy of progressive policies, the role of media in shaping public sentiment, and the potential for political realignment are significant factors that will shape the landscape going forward. Understanding these nuances is essential for grasping the complexities of contemporary governance and the challenges that await Trudeau's successor. 1. Declining popularity and internal turmoil. Trudeau's resignation is primarily attributed to his declining approval ratings and escalating internal dissent within his government. This reflects a broader trend in global politics where leaders face repercussions for failing to adequately address pressing issues such as rising living costs, immigration challenges, and internal party conflicts. The departure of key ministers, including the Finance Minister, highlighted the instability within Trudeau's administration and signaled a loss of confidence in his leadership. 2. Impact of economic challenges. Trudeau's tenure was marked by significant economic challenges, including soaring food and housing costs. His perceived inability to effectively tackle these issues contributed to public discontent. The resignation comes at a crucial time as Canada grapples with the implications of potential U.S. tariffs under President-elect Donald Trump, further complicating the economic landscape. The need for a new leader to navigate these challenges and restore public trust is paramount for the Liberal Party's future. 3. Legacy and political landscape. Trudeau's resignation marks a pivotal moment in Canadian politics, potentially reshaping the landscape ahead of the upcoming elections. His administration was initially celebrated for its progressive policies, including immigration and gender equality. However, controversies surrounding vaccine mandates and environmental policies diminished his support. The Liberal Party's need for a fresh face to reconnect with disillusioned voters underscores the importance of leadership transitions in responding to changing public sentiments. 4. Potential for political upheaval. The political vacuum created by Trudeau's resignation opens the door for significant shifts in the Canadian political landscape. With opposition parties signaling intentions to challenge the Liberal Party upon Parliament's return, a no-confidence vote could lead to early elections. This situation not only reflects the immediate challenges facing the Liberal Party but also indicates broader trends in democratic accountability, where leaders are increasingly held to account for their effectiveness in governance. The outcome of this leadership transition will be crucial for shaping Canada's future policies and political direction. 1. Richard Nixon's resignation. 1974. Richard Nixon, the 37th President of the United States, resigned from office on August 8, 1974. Amid the Watergate scandal, which involved a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters and subsequent cover-up by his administration, Nixon faced immense pressure from Congress and the public, leading to a loss of political support. His resignation marked the first time a U.S. president stepped down from office, significantly impacting American politics and leading to reforms aimed at increasing transparency and accountability in government. 2. Margaret Thatcher's resignation. 1990. Margaret Thatcher, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, resigned on November 28, 1990 after a leadership challenge within her own Conservative Party. Facing declining popularity due to economic difficulties and unpopular policies, particularly the poll tax, Thatcher's grip on power weakened. Her resignation not only ended her 11-year tenure but also led to a significant shift in British politics, paving the way for a new generation of leaders and changing the direction of the Conservative Party. 3. Tony Blair's resignation. 2007. Tony Blair announced his resignation as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom on May 10, 2007, after a decade in power. His decision was influenced by declining popularity, particularly due to public dissatisfaction with the Iraq War and accusations regarding his government's honesty and transparency. Blair's departure led to the election of Gordon Brown as his successor, marking a shift in the Labour Party's leadership and strategy, as well as altering the political landscape in the UK in the years that followed.
Future outlook: the impact of Trudeau's resignation on Canadian politics. Justin Trudeau's resignation as Prime Minister of Canada marks a significant turning point in the country's political landscape, as Canada approaches a new political chapter. Several predictions can be made about the implications of this leadership change. 1. Leadership transition and Liberal Party dynamics. Trudeau's resignation opens the door for a new leader of the Liberal Party, which will likely undergo a period of introspection and rebranding. The selection of a new leader will be crucial in determining the party's future direction. This leader will need to address the party's recent electoral failures and internal divisions, particularly in light of the upcoming elections. The new leader will need to establish a clear and compelling vision that resonates with Canadian voters. This could involve pivoting to more centrist or progressive policies to regain trust and support, especially among disaffected voters who turned away from the Liberals in recent elections. 2. Increased competition from opposition parties. With the Liberal Party's internal turmoil, opposition parties, particularly the Conservatives and the New Democratic Party (NDP), are likely to seize the opportunity to strengthen their positions. The Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre will aim to capitalize on Trudeau's unpopularity by presenting themselves as a viable alternative. They may focus on issues like the economy, inflation, and immigration, areas where the Liberals have faced criticism. The NDP, meanwhile, may seek to broaden its appeal by positioning itself as a party of change, advocating for progressive policies that address social inequities exacerbated by the current economic climate. The competition could lead to a more polarized political environment as parties vie for voter attention and support. 3. Impacts on economic policies and social issues. The next leader of the Liberal Party will have to confront pressing economic challenges such as rising housing costs, inflation, and public dissatisfaction with immigration policies. This could lead to a shift in economic policy, emphasizing fiscal responsibility and innovative solutions to alleviate cost of living pressures for Canadians. Social issues such as climate change, healthcare, and diversity will also remain at the forefront. The new leader may need to strike a balance between addressing environmental concerns and promoting economic growth, especially in the wake of criticisms regarding Trudeau's mixed record on these issues. 4. Potential for a spring election. Trudeau's resignation and the subsequent internal challenges within the Liberal Party may precipitate a no-confidence vote when Parliament resumes. This could lead to a snap election in the spring of 2025, allowing voters to express their dissatisfaction with the current political landscape. If this occurs, the new Liberal leader will need to quickly establish their presence and platform to compete effectively against established opposition candidates. 5. Long-term effects on Canadian politics. Trudeau's resignation reflects a broader trend of political instability and public dissatisfaction with leadership across the globe. The implications of his departure may resonate beyond immediate electoral outcomes, potentially leading to a re-evaluation of political engagement and voter loyalty in Canada. In the long term, this transition may catalyze discussions about democratic renewal and political accountability, prompting all parties to reassess their approaches to governance. As the political climate evolves, Canadians may demand greater transparency and responsiveness from their leaders, influencing future electoral dynamics. 6. International relations and trade policies. The resignation of Trudeau comes at a critical time with rising tensions in international trade, particularly concerning relations with the United States. The new leader will need to navigate these complexities, especially given U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's threats of tariffs on Canadian goods. The approach taken by the new Liberal leader could significantly impact Canada's trade relationships and economic stability. Conclusion: Trudeau's resignation will undoubtedly shape the future of Canadian politics, triggering a series of changes that will influence the direction of the Liberal Party, the strategies of opposition parties, and the overall political landscape. The next leader will face the formidable challenge of uniting a divided party while addressing the pressing issues that matter to Canadians. As the political scene evolves, the outcomes of these changes will be closely watched, with implications that may extend well beyond the next election cycle.